set up here. So set up on your mats, and we're gonna be from all fours, bringing the knees a bit wider, and then push the hips back towards the heels. Let's take a few breaths there. Feeling as much of the body as you can with that inhale, sending it all the way down into your hips. And feeling how the rib cage, the spine moves with the inhale and the exhale. It's gently starting to wake up through our bodies. On an inhale, you can come forwards through all fours. We'll move through your cat stretch. So pushing up through the spine to arch with your exhale. On an inhale, dropping the chest down towards the hands. You can look up high and just move in and out here. Exhaling to round high, inhaling to drop down. As you exhale up, you can let the head hang fairly loose so you get a little bit of traction through the upper back, through the neck. And out. It's following the pace of your own breath. Maybe a little bit of side to side. That feels good for you as you go up and down. Next time you come through center, you can stay there, and we'll take your left hand behind your back and work through a bit of a rotation here. So on an exhale, you're going to push up to rotate over to the left. Inhale to come back through center. Moving in and out. Left hand behind the back, elbow kind of drawing that curved line as you rotate up. Do about 2 more on this side, and then you can switch to the other side. We're rooting for that left hand to place the right hand behind the back, and then doing a rotation. Noticing if side to side feels different, likely will. Two or so more on this side. And then we're going to go back to the left side with a similar motion. This time though, the hand's going to be behind the head, and doing a rotation from here. About 3 more. Waking up through the shoulders, through the upper back. Switching sides after your next one. Hand behind the head to rotate. Hips stay fairly still as you're doing this. This is mostly an upper back, shoulder, rib cage movement. More here on this side. for that third one. You can press back through your child's pose and take a few breaths. And inhale, come back up through all fours. You can take your left foot forwards, end up in your kneeling lunge. Let's do a bit of rocking forwards and backwards, following your own breath. So on an exhale, coming forwards, and inhaling to come back. Gently bringing some movement to the hips. If you need some padding under that back knee, feel free to grab a blanket or a pillow to pad underneath your rooted knee. Whatever you need to move here. In and out. Your next exhale, you can stay forwards into that front hip. Make sure that there's about a 90-degree angle or close to between that front foot, knee, and hip. Hands can both come to the inside of that front foot, and let that front knee fall open away from you on an exhale, then inhale to bring it back in. Couple more. Next time you come through center, you can keep the knee towards center line and bring your hands to opposite sides of that foot. Tuck the back toes behind you and straighten that back knee. Hold here for a few breaths. And from here, you're going to root that opposite hand, so the right hand to your left foot, and take your left hand to your left knee and do a gentle twist, open in this high lunge towards the left side. Keeping that back knee as straight as you can. Sinking forwards towards that rooted front foot. If you want to, you can open all the way to reach up towards the left side, reaching up towards the ceiling, or stay here, or hand behind the head, or hand to the hip. Couple more breaths. And then you can slowly lower that back knee, place the hand on the opposite side of the foot, and bring that foot back through all fours. And we'll bring the right foot forwards. And first things first, just do a little bit of forwards and backwards movement into that front foot, same as we did before. Working into the hip flexor, keeping that front foot rooted, both forwards and backwards. This movement can be as big or as small as you want it to be. Next time you come forward, stay there for a couple breaths. Hands can shift towards the inside of that front foot. And when you're ready, you can move into letting that front knee fall away on an exhale and come back to center line on your inhale. times. Next time you come through center, you can keep the knee there in place, hands on either side of that front foot, straighten the back knee, hold here. Take a few deep breaths all the way down into that hip. Eventually you can root that left hand and start rotating open towards the right knee. If you'd like to, you can open up all the way. Back knee stays straight, or as straight as possible. 1 or 2 more breaths, and then come back through all fours. From all fours, find a nice neutral spine, and we're gonna play with some hip stabilizer work, as we love to do. So you're gonna be taking your left leg first, and just a small movement up to the side. So this is called a fire hydrant exercise. See if you can guess why. So the rest of the body needs to stay still. Core is gonna be active, and I don't wanna see your hips shifting over to accomplish this movement on the one hip. So if that means just a small range, do a smaller range. Stabilizing through one hip to lift the other. We'll go upwards of 8 to 10 of this movement on one side before switching. Slow and controlled. Breathing as you do this. When you get anywhere from 8 to 10, you can switch to the other side. Set yourself up so you can feel that core helping to stabilize the hips before you lift the leg. Eight to 10 on this side. Once you finish 8 to 10, you can come back through all fours. Hands are going to be about a push-up distance apart, and we can straighten the legs to come up into a plank. From your plank, we're going to do small steps to the side with one leg at a time, keeping the rest of the body still as you move. Hips stay low towards the shoulders. Chest should be centered over hands. We'll go for a couple more breaths, side to side. Even out both sides. Come back through all fours. And find your child's pose. Deep breath here. Sinking back through those hips. As you feel ready to, we'll come back up through all fours and repeat those 2 exercises. So we'll start with your left hip in that hydrant, 8 to 10 movements at your own pace, slow and controlled, making sure we don't compensate anywhere else in the body so the pelvis stays even, torso stays level. When you finish 8 to 10 on one side, switch to the other side. Without leaning over, make sure there's imaginary wall on the side you're stabilizing on so you don't fall over to that side as you lift the leg. You get to 8 to 10 on that side. Set up for your plank. Hands about push-up distance apart. Stepping back into that high plank. And then as you're ready to, beginning to step to the outside. Hips stay level. Breathing. About 6 more steps. And relax, come back to your child's pose, or grab some water, have a quick break. Have that object that I asked you to grab close by. Soup can, water bottle, anything that just has a little bit of weight to it. We'll work with it next. Keep resting for another few seconds. So for this first exercise, we can actually be kneeling in a comfortable position. You're gonna take, actually let's leave the object for now. Let's do this without the object. So first things first, you're gonna glue your forearms together. So hands like this, kind of prayer position. And then exhale, you're gonna press those arms up as far as you can without letting the forearms split. And then inhale them back down. So moving up and down, whatever range works, without letting those forearms separate. You'll probably start feeling sides of your arms, backs of your arms over time. Let's do 3 more here. And then you can let the arms release, let them shake out. Now we're gonna grab that object and you're gonna come, let's start in a half plank. You'll have the option of moving into a full plank if you'd like. We'll start in a half plank just so we can truly coordinate this. So small object or under 5 pound object is gonna be to one side of your plank, hands just in front of it. Getting to your half plank, so feel those butt muscles engaged to help you keep the hips low. And then you're gonna reach underneath with the opposite arm to grab said object and bring it over to the opposite side. So you're gonna go back and forth, moving that object, maintaining the integrity of your plank. So not letting those hips lift or your belly drop as you move, reaching underneath to move object side to side. So chest should be close to or hovering right over top of those hands. So you're still shifting your weight forwards as you do this, and you'll feel those shoulders have to work a bit harder to coordinate your stability. 4 or so more passes through, 2 to each side. Good work. Once you reach those 4, so sit back up, shake the arms out. Take a few breaths. Does everybody feel their shoulders? Vigorous nodding, excellent. Okay, so one more round of those 2. Your options here, if you'd like, you can add that small object to your forearm press here for a little bit more resistance. or you can continue on with body weight. Doesn't matter to me, whatever works for you. Up and down, working to press those forearms together. These are the muscles that should be working when we're on our horses to help us stabilize our upper body. If you're one who struggles with upper body falling forwards, rolling forwards, these are the muscles we want to start working on to help your stability chain coordinate a bit better through your upper body. 3 or so more here. And then you can let the arms release, and we'll set up for those crossover planks. So again, your options here, you can stay in a half plank. You could even do this from all fours if you're struggling to maintain that half plank, or you can move towards your full plank. So high plank, reaching underneath to pull that object over. Feet can be a bit wider if you're in a full plank to help you with some of that stability and keeping the hips low. But if you're truly struggling with that stability, stay in a half plank for now. Quality and motion is always what we're worried about. 6 more passes. You got this. 2 more. Once you finish those 2, come back to your child's pose. Take a few breaths here. Letting the breath fill the whole rib cage. As you feel ready to grab water on your way if you need, we're going to come down to lie on one side. Top leg's going to be out long. We've done this before. You're going to be rotating the heel towards the ceiling, making sure you can just see the tips of your toes as you look down the leg. And we're going to start with raises up to the side with the heel leading the way. We'll go for 8 to 10 movements up and down here, making sure you can feel this at the top of your hip. If you can't feel this at that side edge, top edge of your hip, move the leg back just a little bit and see if that changes the sensation. Once you reach 8 to 10 of this up and down movement, you're going to move into your circles, basketball size circles, making sure the rest of the body doesn't go all wiggly on you. Both directions, so finish 8 to 10 one direction, and then move into the opposite direction. Once you finish both directions with the circles, you're going to take that top leg, cross it over top so it's just kind of resting on the ground, and straighten that bottom leg out. And you're going to do lifts with that bottom leg. We'll go for, again, 8 to 10 here. If you're a rider who deals with knee pain, this is an excellent circuit to do, working on all the hip stabilizers, outside and inside, as well as if you're a rider who wants to work on lower leg stability. These are the exercises to do, to start with anyway. 8 to 10, and then you can flip over to your other side, and we'll repeat the same series, starting with that top leg, heel rotating towards the ceiling, lifting up and down. Making sure the top of the hip is what's working. Side of the butt. 8 to 10. And then move into your circles. Go in the other direction as you finish 8 to 10. And then switching to that bottom leg, so letting that top knee drape over to support, and then lifting through a straightened bottom leg. Make sure that leg stays as straight as you can keep it. Eight to 10. And then you can roll onto your back. And we're going to bring the legs up so they're as straight as they can be towards the ceiling. Flex those ankles. Keeping one leg nice and straight. Let's start with the right leg. You're going to let the right leg drift out to the side as far as you can control. And then bring it back up to straight. And then the same leg, that right leg, is going to lower towards the ground as far as you can control. Can be a really small range of motion. And then back up. And then switching sides. Kind of like the hands of a clock. As far out as you can control. Sideways, and then straight out away from you. Let's go for 3 more rounds on each side. Right leg out, right leg down. Working to keep the knee straight, or as straight as possible. You'll feel the core, the hip flexors, all turn on to help here. Ankles stay fairly flexed too. Don't let them get floppy. In and out. One more time on each side. Take a breath, last one. When you finish that second side, let the legs come back down, take a few breaths, grab a sip of water. We're going to do both those movements again. So you're going to start with the hip series. As you feel ready to, no rush. As you get there, begin with those hip lifts, abductions. Eight to 10. Moving into circles as you get there. Controlled basketball-sized circles. Both directions, 8 to 10 times. As you finish 8 to 10, both directions of the circles, top knee comes over, straightening that bottom leg. For lifts here. Knee stays as straight as you can keep it. Eight to 10. And then finding your other side. Starting with that straight leg for abductions. as you get there.
Later, Roger, later. Play later. Play later.
Going to the other direction as you get there. And then switching to that bottom leg. Last time through here. As you finish 8 to 10 there, you can flip onto your back. Find your legs straight up high. Start with the right leg, lowering it out to the side as far as you can. Bringing it back up, and then same away from you. We're going to aim for 5 on each side this time. Right out, right back, and then left out, left back. Opposite leg stays as still as you can keep it. Keep breathing. 2 more rounds. Last one here. After this one, let the legs come down. Have a break. Grab water. Die on your back. Wherever feels appropriate. You let the legs shake out. Here we're going to flip onto your belly, or find your belly once you get there. You can rest with forehead to hands for a few moments. Just feeling your breath. The next few breaths, you're going to bring the arms out so they're making the shape kind of a W on either side. Forehead can stay resting towards the ground or hovering. If you're hovering the head, just make sure that the nose is pointed directly at the ground so the chin is tucked a little bit and the neck is fairly straight. As we get here, we're going to keep the lower body rooted to the ground for now. So it's just going to be an upper body movement. You're going to pick those arms up, so you're hovering in that W shape. Chin stays tucked. And then we're going to move between a W, a T, and a Y. So we'll go between those 3 letters, W to T to Y. And we'll go for 6 to 10 rounds of these 3 letters, whatever feels doable for your upper body. Squeezing between those shoulder blades as we move the arms between those 3 letters. Legs stay on the ground for now. As you reach 6 to 10, you can let everything lower back down to the ground. Take a few breaths. Let those shoulders relax. We're going to shift our attention to the legs. So you're going to bring the legs as tight as they can be together. And then one at a time, you're going to lift the leg a couple inches off the ground, keeping the leg straight and engaging from those butt muscles first. So squeeze the butt, then lift a leg. Making sure you don't notice any wiggling about with the rest of your body as you kick up through those legs. Those has to come from those hips. If you're having trouble doing that, focus first on clenching the butt muscles, squeezing those butt muscles, and then thinking about lifting the leg. You might start with simply a squeeze and release in those butt muscles to get your attention there before working into those leg lifts. It'll start small. Millimeter even just off the ground is enough to start working these muscles. Side to side, a couple more times. And then let yourself rest, forehead and hands. We're going to go through your WTYs one more time. So set up for that W position. Making sure the nose is pointing towards the ground. Lifting and squeezing those shoulder blades. Lift the arms up. And then moving from your W to your T. Up to your Y. Shoulders working. Six to 10 rounds. Do what feels appropriate for a challenge for you today. We've done a lot of shoulder work this week, so it wouldn't be surprising if your shoulders are a bit fatigued. You get 6 to 10, anywhere in that range, lower down. Have a quick break. We'll do your leg kicks one more time, squeezing those butt muscles to kick up. Straight leg, one side at a time. It's just the legs moving. Pelvis doesn't shift much, shoulders don't shift much, low back shouldn't be changing. Small movement. A few more times. One more time on each side. Let those legs relax. Take a few breaths. You can place your hands so they're right underneath the shoulders. And you can press yourself up through all fours, back to your child's pose. Come through all fours. We'll tuck those toes behind you and lift the hips up and back towards your down dog. As you get here, keep the knees a bit bent so you can lift the hips as high as they'll go, and then work to straighten the legs. You want to think of almost like you're stacking the shoulders and hips. And then straightening from there, hips as high as they can be. Take a few breaths, walk the legs, flex the ankles, walk the legs out. Then you can take your feet a touch wider So they're about mat distance apart. And walk your hands back towards your feet. Hanging out in this wider forward fold just for a couple breaths. Let the knees stay a little bit bent. And you can slowly roll yourself all the way up to standing. We're going to, let's actually grab that object again. So whatever it is, light object. And you're going to have it pressed overhead in your right hand. You're going to take a big step forward with that right foot. Bit of a lunge. And then step back. Keeping it in your right hand, stepping forward with the left. Bit of a lunge. Step back. And repeat that 5 times with this arm. Forward lunge. Keeping that shoulder engaged, so you're not shrugging that shoulder up. Core stays strong. As you lunge, that front knee isn't collapsing inwards. One more time on each leg. And then you can switch object to opposite hand. And we'll repeat. Same 5 lunges with the other hand up. Weight equally balanced over that front foot as you lunge. One more on each side. And you can lower that object down, set it to the side, find your forward fold once more. Come all the way back up to standing. And the next move is going to place a little bit of creativity on you. So the basis of this move, essentially, you're going to come all the way down to the ground to a lying position and then stand all the way back up again. I don't care how you get there. You're just going to go up and down 5 times. So however you want to lower all the way down to your back, there, and then come all the way back up to standing. 5 times, up and down, however makes sense for you, all the way flat, and then back up. No strict rules. Couple more times. Doesn't have to be fast either. Just up and down. One more time up. Next time you get down, you can stay there. Lie all the way down to your back. Take a few breaths. Let's roll over onto your left side. Knees can be hugged up towards your chest. Arms can be straight out in front of you. On an exhale, you're going to open up towards the right side. Inhale, back to the left. So moving in and out of a rotation here. Go for about 8 times on this side. A couple more times here. can roll over to start on the other side. Exhaling to open up. Inhaling to come back. Three or four more times on this side. Next time you come through center, you can open up one last time to that opposite side and we'll stay there. Just taking a few breaths in this twist. Couple more breaths here. And then you can bring those knees up and over and let them fall to the left. And stay open in this full twist on this side, a few breaths. Noticing where that breath moves in this position.
Okay.
And coming back through center as you're ready. Spin your breath or so, hugging the knees, tightening towards your chest. And then you can cross left ankle over right thigh. Bringing it in towards your chest. Holding behind that right thigh with your hands. One option here to add in another layer to this is you can straighten that right leg up towards the ceiling, heel leading the way. You can either stay up like this or you can go in and out, whatever you prefer. Stretching both that left hip and the right hamstring. Letting things slow down a little bit. Couple more breaths. And then you can eventually let yourself switch to the other side, so crossing that right ankle over left thigh, hugging it in. Keep it simple for a few breaths, and if you want to add a hamstring stretch on the other side, you're welcome to. Breathing into the hips. few deep breaths. Eventually you can let the feet come down to rest on the ground. Few options, you can either let the knees kind of fold in towards each other just to rest them here, if that's comfortable for you to be lying on your back, or you can let them straighten out long. Whatever's comfortable for you, lying flat. Settle into your breathing as you find that comfortable lying down position. Take a few moments to just integrate today's session, letting the body settle, letting the heart rate and all the energy we've created settle into our bodies. As you breathe here, take your awareness all the way down to the tips of your toes. Take a few breaths, imagining that you're inside of your toes, looking around from the inside out into the foot. Deep breath. And moving your awareness slowly up towards your ankles and your lower legs. As you pass through each body part, simply spending time and awareness there with your breath. Perhaps noticing any sensations that are being held in those areas or qualities being held in those areas. You might even say a silent thank you to each of these areas. Express gratitude towards each part of your body as we move through with the breath. Moving up from the lower legs into the knees, our shock absorbers. A few breaths to simply experience the knees from the inside out. Inhale to explore and exhales to settle. Releasing anything you can release with the exhales in each area. Letting the body sink a little bit heavier into the ground with every exhale. Moving up towards the thighs, the quads, the hamstrings, the power creators. Inhaling to explore each area, exhaling to let them grow heavy. Over the next breath, moving up towards the hips, the pelvis, hip flexors, glutes. Inhale to notice and observe anything held here. Exhale to allow it to release if it wants to. Moving up towards the lower belly, lower back. Breathing to expand into these areas. Feeling the support of your mat underneath you as you breathe into it. Moving up towards your mid-body, the area just at the bottom of the rib cage, base of the rib cage, middle of your spine. Breathing to expand this area. Exhales to take it a bit heavier into the mat. breathage through the lungs, up towards that heart space, the chest, upper rib cage. Take some deep, expansive breaths here, noticing how it feels to be open and expand into this area, into the heart space.
Now we're gonna get more coffee in the coffee. But it has to be plugged in. No, it doesn't. Charge probably. No, it turned off because it charged. Well, I'd like to finish my process.
Deep breaths here. And moving from the chest up through the throat, through the neck, maybe even into the jaw. And up through the base of the skull, through the face, forehead. Inhaling, noticing any residual tension in any of these areas. And exhaling to invite it to release. Over the next few breaths, take a few deeper breaths, trying to fill as much of the body as you can. Allow the knees, if they're bent, to drift side to side. If the legs are straight, you can do a full body stretch, making yourself as long as possible. Over a couple breaths. And adding other small movements, just reconnecting to your body and to the room. And making your way up when you feel ready. We'll end today's workout there. And I hope to see all of you next week. Same schedule will apply. So we'll do this workout Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And the mobility meditation ones Tuesday, Thursdays. So I'll touch base with all of you on the message feed. But hope you all have a lovely rest of your day and weekend.
Great.